Hey there, team. It's me, your old friend Rich Riddensland, host of TeamBonding Saves the World. And today, we're doing something special. We're wrapping up an incredible season. A season packed with big ideas, brilliant guests, surprising stories, a few happy accidents, and more than enough empathy to power a small city. So, buckle up, because this is our season finale highlight reel. Part celebration, part reflection, part, wow, we really did that? And all heart. Let's get into it.
You know, the CEO makes a lot more money than the guy putting packing peanuts in the boxes in the loading bay and shipping them out.
Yeah.
But if the guy packing the peanuts screws up, the product gets there and it's broken and you get a whole chain of returns and BS that you don't need. That person needs to feel as much a part of the endeavor and as important as everybody else, because they are.
This season wasn't just about leadership or psychology or communication. It was all about people, how people think, how people feel, how people screw up, recover, connect, create, grow, and somehow still manage to work together. We've explored trust, creativity, conflict, communication, purpose, belonging, burnout, psychological safety, you name it. And every single guest brought something so uniquely them, I think we need to give them all a moment in the spotlight. Who's ready for a montage? Roll that clip.
So the main skills are in communication, and a lot of it is, I think, listening skills are difficult and always have been difficult, but are even more difficult in today's complex society than they ever were. And they're far, far more important.
We kicked things off with Robert Mattson, who reminded us that storytelling isn't decorative. It's how humans make sense of the world and each other.
People come in and they would tell me stories to get to know me. Like, great. And then they would go into their business spiel and there would be no stories. And I felt like I lost a connection with them. Yeah. And also, it's an encapsulation of information. Stories are 22 times more memorable than features, facts, and functions alone.
Then, Haley Graylis showed us why psychological safety is the heartbeat of high-performing teams, and why leaders who ignore it are basically driving with the parking brake on.
So for people who are listening who might not know what that is, psychological safety is a term coined by Dr. Amy Edmondson, where a team can feel like they can appear vulnerable, bring their full selves to work, take risks, be innovative, ask questions, be themselves, all of that without fear of retaliation, humiliation, and opportunities being taken from them.
Josh Robinson brought the drums, literally, and reminded us that rhythm brings connection, healing, and joy, even in our hardest seasons.
Really into the concept of music for community, and the way that there's an exchange between the body and the voice and rhythm, and also that there really is rhythm to everything. There's a rhythm to a conversation. There's a rhythm to the way we walk. There's a rhythm to our heart beating in its chest. There's a rhythm to companies and communication. So I really kind of started to get the zoom out and see, wow, this is a really powerful tool. It's a platform and a vehicle.
Scott Worth showed us that building a community isn't complicated. It's curiosity, generosity, sometimes a tiny box full of books.
You know, if you're going to join the movement, if you're going to join it, that's the jump you do have to take, right? This is that, like, I'm putting these out there for people that need them. If somebody needs 40 books, because I filled my library with 40 books, if somebody needs those 40 books, they probably need those 40 books for a good reason.
Sure.
And if they're going to give them to other people, maybe they're taking them to the church and they're going to give them to individuals who are homeless. You know, maybe they're taking them to a school and they're going to give all the books to a school. Who knows?
Angela Lewis reminded us that leadership isn't a job title. It's influence wrapped in purpose.
There are a couple of things that I think are big. One, an aligned mission and vision. Like, we're trying to win, or we're trying to win a championship. We're trying to improve our field goal percentage. So it has to be a goal that we're all seeking. Okay. That's part one. Part two is that as an individual, we all actually want to get better individually because we understand that if we improve, then the whole team improves. And then the last part is trust. You can all want to win. You can all choose to decide you want to be better. But if you don't trust each other, you're never going to get to the goal, and the team will break apart.
Tyler Hayden made us laugh, think, and question whether half the culture programs out there even matter if people don't feel connected.
But it's the little things that we do progressively along the way. Like when I coach and help managers to sharpen their saws, I'll get them to put 10 pennies in one pocket. And I'll say, it's about the little things that you do during the day for your teams. And for every little thing you do to help to create a positive difference, move one of those pennies from your right-hand pocket to your left-hand pocket. And don't stop until all 10 pennies are in your left-hand pocket. And we're that way that the manager's starting to build a practice of being positively responsible for their teams. And then by doing that, we begin to adjust the culture. And that's how we begin to improve the engagement. I mean,
Melissa Richards, our self-proclaimed checklist guru, reminded us that great leadership comes down to three things: trust, credibility, and commitment.
One mistake that we've all made as leaders is we make assumptions about people and about situations. And so that is just a great reminder for people to listen, to be curious about the other humans that you're working with. Ask them how they feel, ask them open-ended questions, invite them to contribute their perspective and experiences that may not be so obvious in their job titles.
Crystal Starr pushed us to step into courageous connections because teams thrive when people feel brave enough to show up as themselves.
How do I deal with coworkers that you just don't want to deal with that day?
Nice.
And I think it goes back to even if you don't like what that person is doing at that moment, I think you need to find some level of respect for them for whatever it is. Think about the positives of that person, and then also think about what that person's life is like. Put yourself in that person's shoes.
Russell Harvey taught us that optimism isn't naive, it's a strategy.
Yeah, we're telling our people what to do and they do it. And now they're answering back. And actually, I've understood that just telling them harder and more isn't working. They actually want us to have a conversation with them. And, am I equipped, as a leader to have this conversation? And actually, I've got to adapt. So we keep talking about adaptability is a huge element of being resilient.
Right.
But, this goes into the whole place of when changes happen around us that we didn't instigate, we struggle with them, or we can struggle with them.
Then Megan Grace dropped the truth about generational differences and why Gen Z isn't the enemy, they're the future.
Good managers focus on knowing their people, regardless of generation, and proactively blocking and tackling challenges. So when I was managing a team, I always told them my number one goal is to identify needs and barriers in the way of your success. And then it's my job to remove them. So I always thought of my life as, okay, let's anticipate a potential challenge and then let me block and tackle it for you so that you can do what we hired you to do, which was your job. I should not be making your life harder. I should be making your life easier.
Hitesh Kapadia drew a line in the sand. Inclusion has to be practiced, not printed on a wall.
Consider it this way. If you were to take two paths, the quick path where it was just painful, going up a mountain. If I live in the mountains here, and if you go straight up, it's the most painful way to get up to be the top. But you get there in the shortest distance. However, there's a reason why there's so many these switchbacks and sometimes see on mountain roads is because they go back and forth, back and forth. It's a longer distance, but it's a much more easier and much more scenic route.
Right.
To get there. And that's the idea, is that don't see that one way of doing things or that one failure as a way that really is an obstacle, but see it as an opportunity to see what are my other choices, what are my other paths that I can create from this opportunity.
And Dr. Jessica Stern closed the season with science, heart, and humor, showing us why empathy isn't soft, it's powerful.
Your pattern of interacting with other people is like the lens through which you perceive other people's communication with you. So as an example, a securely attached person has a positive view of themselves. I'm basically a competent person, and views other people positively as well. So other people are generally trustworthy. That's my general worldview. And if I take that into a workplace situation, what the research shows is that securely attached people tend to be better communicators. They also tend to be more trustworthy leaders, and they tend to value relationships more, which means they value teamwork a little bit more.
When you hear all those voices back to back, it really hits you. This season wasn't just conversations, it was a map for how to trust, how to communicate, how to understand each other, how to show up as human beings in a world that feels less human every day. Every guest brought a piece of the puzzle, and together, they built a season full of insight, laughter, vulnerability, creativity, and even a few happy accidents.
The experience in the game is quite similar to what they experience during their work time. What's happening is often that departments work together very, very well, and Department A says, "Oh my God, the idiots from Department B, we are still waiting for their results." And what's not happening is that they share or offer help, or maybe just ask why the results are not already there.
I do not subscribe to this word balance. Because when you go into balance, that means you're going to get all areas like balance, equal, and I don't think there's such a thing. But integrating them into one's life, that is
right. And I think a lot of businesses realize that they have a responsibility not just to sell a widget,
right,
but how they're also going to, what kind of corporate stewardship they're doing in the community.
But the real magic, it's you, the listeners, the leaders, the facilitators, the teams, the humanity who shows up every day trying to make work a little more like community. You're the reason we do this. You're the reason this podcast matters. You're the reason team building saves the world. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining us this season. And stick around. More stories, more conversations, more laughter, and a whole lot more humanity is on the way. Till next time, I'm Rich Renensland, and this has been Team Building Saves the World. And yes, the applause you're hearing really is just the people I keep trapped under my desk. They're fine. They're thriving.